Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Slamhub Wrestling. Myself, Suprit, and this is your AEW Rampage review for October 15th, 2021. I'm joined by Ridwan here. The Friday Night War is upon us. How are you doing?
Yes, I mean, this entire night of pro wrestling was wild, and the only winners from here were us fans, right? I mean, pretty cheesy way to say it, but it was what it was. And I don't know, it felt like there was just too much wrestling to watch. I mean, I wasn't very active during the whole Wednesday night wars thing, but even like over here, like 2.5 hours of SmackDown and 2 hours of Rampage, including the buy-in. It was essentially a 2-hour episode of Dynamite if you think about it, like the way they structured it. But overall, I think it was a fun night of pro wrestling. What did you think?
I thought this was one of the best rampages we have seen in terms of first off, the wrestling was really good, and the main thing was it was a live rampage.
Yes, like it's very rare that, I mean, obviously because they tape it after Dynamite, but whenever it's like now, I think this is the third live Rampage that they've done. Now, obviously after the first two episodes, this was the one, and they always pull out their best guns during the live Rampage episodes, and this was one such example of that.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened on the other channel. Anything notable?
I mean, Becky and Sasha were wrestling commercial free, and after that, our tribal chief showed up. And of course, there was like the King and Queen, King of the Ring and Queen's tournament match, Queen's Crown, right? Yeah.
Queen's
So
Crown.
they had those matches going on. But even SmackDown was pretty decent today, I thought.
But anyways, I think Rampage overall was good. I think I have to see what SmackDown looks like, even though I will not be checking
Yes.
it out.
Yeah, but of course, Rampage. I mean, it's AEW. Come on.
Yes.
They have the superior wrestling product, objectively speaking.
Yeah, SmackDown lost in the draft this year.
I mean, that's a conversation for another time, right?
Yeah, maybe next week on main roster talk, hopefully, because we have Crown Fools. I might cover that, or maybe end up, say fuck it, let's just talk about AEW.
Probably. Let's see what happens by then.
Yeah, we might be having a new co-host for that main roster talk.
Ooh, spoilers.
Anyways, like we said, Rampage was a really good show. The live atmosphere, they need to really do more live rampages. I know they want to, like it's easy, do Dynamite in a big arena. You can tape an hour of Rampage. The dark stuff also comes with it. They need to figure out ways to do a live Rampage as well. For example, if you are like you did, this was a great scenario because we had back-to-back Dynamite and Rampage, right? So imagine if we have, say, we do a show in Florida, a Wednesday night Dynamite, okay? You can do a Rampage on that Friday, same week, maybe in another small venue. You don't need a bigger venue, right?
As far as I know,
if you want to do a live Rampage, you can go on that route.
Yeah, and they have announced actually, because early next month, like around 3rd or 5th November, they are doing live Rampage and like a Dynamite in another town in the same state. As you mentioned, like you rightly pointed it out, because they're doing a Dynamite episode in Independence, Missouri, and a couple days later, Rampage is going to be live in St. Louis. And I think they also have a few dates announced in around mid to late November as well, like some dates in Virginia and probably the Long Island show that they're doing. I know, I think that's at the same time. But yeah, the early next month's Dynamite and Rampage is going to be like how you mentioned it, in another small town, but it's going to be live.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this the same venue? So they were in Miami. Isn't this the same venue they did Road Rager?
Yeah, they did. Exactly. It's the same venue. And like we'll get to eventually, the main event, but that's how the whole story started in the first place. It is the same. And even like the only I'd say the change from the Road Rager show was, the way they set up the entrance ramp, because it was like your typical Dynamite or Rampage entrance way. But what do you say? Like the ramp was attached to the ring apron, and like last time at Road Rager, they were filming the hard cam at another side. So this was that.
Yeah, I remember that. And it looks like a small venue if you see it, the setup and all. But in actuality, it's a big venue, a big arena.
Yes, like they AEW, like they usually do these shows in like 5 to 8,000 capacity arenas, so it works for them in that sense.
But man, this crowd was super hot throughout the night.
And Florida crowds are known to be super hot. Like in general, this was one such example of that.
But we'll get through all that stuff. But if you are new to Slamhub Wrestling, then make sure to like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Check out our other content. Links provided in the description below. Did you watch the buy-in?
I did watch the Bryan. I mean, there were like three. I mean, I'd say one can't miss match, but the other two matches were really nice. So I had to check out the Bryan this time.
You had to, right? It would have been a shame if you didn't check out the buy for that one particular match.
Exactly.
But so we had Conti versus Santana Garett. This was a short little match, and funny part is they actually wrestled in NXT.
Yes, this was the same match which beat like during the whole Wednesday night wars thing. So this match had more viewers than the entire Dynamite show that was competing head to head. And ironically, like a few years later, here we are in like both of these ladies are wrestling in AEW.
But this match went short. Both women looked great. You have said in the past the Santana Garett is quietly, underrated and never utilized to her full potential. But anyway, they gave us a little fun match. At the end, it was Conti getting the win with a DD tie, and that's probably it.
And like they had to give the win to Ty because they are clearly building her up for the the eventual TBS tournament. And she is one of, I don't want to call her a favorite, but I think she's a dark horse for that tournament because you're not going to expect her to win, but she can pull out a lot of upset wins. And also I feel this is a great way to build her up as a proper babyface in the division to someone, and the crowd really love her as one such. But I have to ask you one question, okay?
Go on.
What improves a pro wrestler more? Is it 3 years of wrestling school or 1 year of Shibata matches? Of watching Shibata matches?
I would say the second option would be a good one.
Yes, that's exactly what happened with Ty Conti. Because like 3 years of wrestling in the performance center, and you could even if you compare both matches side by side, the one that they wrestled in NXT and the one that they had like last night, you could like even in the motions of both of their offense, like it was so crisp and smooth now than it was in that NXT match, and that's obvious because it's a natural progression of a wrestler learning by trade. But this one that looked like a more corporately produced match, and this one was like free balls to the wall match, the one that happened last night.
Bro, you can give Conti another year, and by then she'll be ready for retiring.
Exactly. Like yes, but looking at her improvement, like she's improving she's improved leaps and bounds from that time, but she continues to keep improving, and that's it's exactly what you need to see from a wrestler and enjoy whatever they put out.
But anyways, moving on, we had Bobby Fish versus I'm going to butcher this name, Lee Moriarty. Did I get that
Yep.
right?
Yes,
And by the way, Lee, Mr. Lee is all elite. after just wrestling here and there for AEW. So that's good news.
Yes, he's been pretty regular on Dark for the past month, and he had a match with Daniel Garcia, which prompted Tony Khan to give him a contract like then and there itself, which was sweet. And I hadn't seen much of his. Like, I don't usually watch Dark or Dark Elevation, but this was the first. This is the second time that I've watched Lee wrestle. The first was a couple weeks ago, a Dark Elevation match with him, and I think it was LSG, the ROH wrestler, versus FTR in a tag match. So that's that.
So another guy who just became all elite, Bobby Fish. So he was facing Mr. Lee here. So what they were able to give you a really fun wrestling match, and this would end towards Bobby Fish getting the win with a simple roundhouse kick, just to build up the Dynamite match with Bryan Danielson. So you had to give Bobby Fish a big win here. So pretty much that's all I can say regarding this match.
Yeah, there's nothing else you could add in general. But like this was like going by the flow of this match, this was like basically Lee trying to get Fish into his hold. But as you can see, the disparity between like someone who's wrestling for 20 years versus someone who's been wrestling for two, and like how they were exchanging moves. And it was like a match of strikes too, because Lee is a pretty decent striker, and of course, like he has a long way to go. But Bobby Fish is like a veteran who's like a master at his craft, and that was about that. And Fish was like continuously taking advantages of the strikes to put him on offense. And there was like a few hope spots sprinkled here and there for Lee, which was also good to see. But yeah, there you go. Like Bobby Fish picks up the quick victory with a roundhouse kick just to build him up. And even like even if the match wasn't there, it was obvious Bobby Fish was going to win. But I'm excited to see what all do they do with Lee Moriarty, because like as we mentioned, Daniel Garcia, he's firing on all cylinders in AEW right now, and we could see something similar from Lee himself. So damn excited for what's in store for him.
So before we get into the main event, they kind of did some packages for the big matches on the main show. We had one for Punk versus Sydal, one for Inner Circle, and the Man of the Year, the 6-man. So that was good to watch. Let's quickly get into the good stuff. This is Bryan Danielson versus Minoru Suzuki. This match was announced. This came out of nowhere.
Like just for Tony Khan to show his muscles against commercial-free Smackdown, if you will, or supersized Smackdown, if you will. So this was like, and it was free of charge on YouTube. Like you just had to log into YouTube and just watch the match. You didn't have to pay for any any TV show or something. So it was like a great service to the fans themselves. And boy, oh boy, what a match this was.
And it's a kind of a bummer that this was on YouTube and not on TV or pay-per-view.
It was again like I can't complain if you're watching this for free.
Yeah, that makes sense as a viewer. But this match, they delivered on all promises. If there was any promises for this match.
Hands down, hands down.
And listen, this is going to be a hot take from me, and I don't think it's a fair comparison, but I'm going to go for it. This gave me vibes of Samoa Joe versus Kenta Kobashi for some reason.
Yes, I mean it was in that line of comparison, you could say. But wow, what a match!
And I think this is going to be somewhere beneath those match of the year contenders, if I'm not wrong.
You could say that, like it's right up there. For even for me, like I'd say, this was one of my favorite matches of the year. I'll probably have to give it a rewatch once again. And yeah.
So Suzuki makes his entrance first. Then Danielson. Danielson is super over with the yes chants, and they didn't. The match didn't even begin, and we see holy shit chants. Like from the get go,
Yes.
you're hyped. So
Yes. And
and
Danielson was before we start, like Danielson was milking the crowd so bad during his entrance. Like he's just standing on all turnbuckles. He's going, yes, not him, yes, but he was just doing this, and the crowd was chanting, yes, yes, yes. Later, that turned into C, C, C because Spanish.
is it? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the same guy who wrestled Roman Reigns and main evented WrestleMania and
Yes,
wrestled Kenny Omega in the
exactly.
same year?
Yes, he was. He is, and yeah, there's less words to be said about Bryan Danielson
So he,
as in general. Yeah,
so he went from main eventing WrestleMania, Roman Reigns, a great match with Kenny, and he was wrestling Suzuki in 1 year.
yeah, exactly. Like in 6 months, like in half a year, you could say.
Like,
Like
oh my
he's
god, man.
he was marking out during the match while like he was standing face to face with Suzuki, and Suzuki was asking him to like lay it on me, and Danielson was just smiling. He couldn't stop smiling. Like he's having the dream, like he's having a dream run so far, and it's only been like a month since he signed to AEW, a month and a half, I should say.
At the rate he's going, he's right now, he's going to be the top 10 guy in the industry when 2022 comes around.
Yes, and the people have already been clamoring for him to face Kenny for the title already. While this his run is white hot with the crowd, he's like super over, and obviously he's over. He's like one of the legends of the business. But I mean, you can't ask for anything more when it comes to Bryan Danielson. He's just legendary.
And before we get into the highlights, let's talk about Suzuki, man. The Suzuki US tour, like everyone calls about it. Even I kind of made Mike Bennett emotional on Twitter a couple of hours ago. He was marking out that I pitched the idea of him and Suzuki, so that was great to watch.
I was jealous of that because, like, you know, you have such wrestlers that you have great love for, even if they're not very like big stars, but they are good in their respective rights or great even, and you have like a certain soft corner for them. Mike Bennett is like one of those wrestlers for me. Like I could say like your boy kind of wrestlers. So whenever I tweet to him, he doesn't always respond, but like there you go, like your tweet, and he's like one of my favorite wrestlers. I mean, you could say even like even if I watch ROH, he'll be my top favorite wrestler over there.
But I mentioned this because the Suzuki US tour, because this guy had two options. Okay, either stay in Japan, work the G1 tournament, and get just 8 points, or come to the
Mm.
US, work all these indie shows and AEW and Impact, and just have fun and get that crowd reaction you were waiting for the last year and a half.
Yeah, and he was he was just recently announced for Impact. So excuse me, there are a lot of dream matches as it is, even in Impact for that matter. And he is a staple in GCW, and he's working like dates in AEW and of course New Japan Strong. So this Suzuki US tour 2021 is like I don't want to call it a fever dream, but it's amazing as it is. Like you can't really say more than that.
If there's one who has favored a lot with the Forbidden Door, it's this guy.
Easily.
And let's put the World Championship on him finally when he goes back to Japan.
I don't think they will, because he's not an officially signed wrestler to New Japan. He's still a freelancer, and New Japan tend to not put the titles on people who aren't contracted to them. And like for example, the Ibushi, All these years he was wrestling for New Japan. He wasn't like always the champion. I mean, in junior levels as an IC champion or junior heavyweight champion, he was there. But as a world champion, they were always reluctant because he wasn't officially contracted to them. But once that happened, and the 1 year later, he was their world heavyweight champion. So
But
I
anyways,
mean,
man,
I personally wish Suzuki becomes the world champion, but it's not gonna happen very easily.
yeah, we would end up with a second evil title reign.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck you. By the way, let's get into the highlights. Like we said, the crowd was very much into this. Holy shit chance from the get-go. They really do some great pure wrestling, man. Great pure wrestling in the first half. And then we get into the strikes and Suzuki just being heelish throughout the match. I loved it. Like, Danielson is like the super over baby face here. Suzuki is just being Suzuki with the crowd. And at one point he just kind of just did the shish to the crowd. I loved that. So like I said, great pure wrestling from the get in the beginning parts, and then we get into the strikes. So at one point Suzuki just killed Danielson with a forearm, and we see holy shit chants again. And then they go out to the outside, and Suzuki was just kind of targeting Bryan's arm, and then more pure wrestling. And and then you brought up this point where they were doing the what do you call those spots? Yes,
Hope
Daniel.
spots.
Yeah, like Danielson was kicking Suzuki, and Suzuki was no holding those kicks. So this, and then there was another part where Suzuki was the one who was kicking Danielson, and Danielson returned the favor here. So he was setting those kicks. So then we see some great exchange of submissions, like Suzuki was going for the sleeper. Danielson went for the cat mutilation ones, and then he was going for the lapel lock. And as we get to the final parts, like they're going into some quick exchanges. Danielson hits the Busaiko knee, and there you go, got the victory. Really great match, man. And I can say this was one of the best AEW matches this year.
This year, easily. Like you could rank it in a top 5 or top 10 list easily. Like this match, man, it's one of my favorite matches this year. I can easily say that this is so good.
This
And yeah,
finally, it's
continue.
great to see that the AEW audience finally got to see the real Suzuki after all these appearances.
Yes, this was his third match in AEW, right?
Yes,
Because first was with Moxley was a little underwhelming.
it was an
It was
incident.
good. Yeah, the Suzuki incident. Then the hardcore tag match was also I mean it was fine, but it was just there. But man oh man, this match was hands down like fantastic. Do you reckon Melzer would give it 5 stars or something?
4.5 is good, man.
Yeah,
In
even
terms
I
of
feel the
measure,
same. I mean, I would love if he just gives 5 star and just infuriates the crowd even more, infuriates the fans even more.
yeah,
But like this match was also, you could say, good for the crowd involvement, because at one point, when Suzuki was laying in those running kicks to Bryan, and then Bryan was just there, yeah, and then Suzuki just hits him again, and Bryan just there, like give me more, and Suzuki just goes like slowly runs and gives him like one like dastardly kick, and Bryan was just trying to go for a comeback, and then he just dies, and Suzuki goes for a pinfall. That was great, and of course, like the initial before that, the exchanges of fora. Suzuki was giving Bryan a chop, and Bryan was returning the favor with a knee, and later on, Suzuki just gives him a forearm, and Bryan just dies there instantly. So I mean, the crowd had a lot of involvement in this. So that's what makes pro wrestling great, right? So this match was like amazing.
yeah,
I'm marking out talking about it. So
and that's why I made the comparison of Joe and Kobashi. The crowd involvement, the dynamic of a great puro Japanese guy and a great wrestler from America. I went into that dynamic and that comparison.
Yes, I actually have to like rewatch those Joe versus Kobashi matches now that you've mentioned. So
But
great time.
yeah, so how are you going to talk this? I said when this match ended.
Yes, they with all due respect, I don't think they did because like the main show, you could have put this easily on the main show and put one of the matches on the main card into the buy-in. That would have certainly worked.
Yeah,
But
but
again, like because of the time slot that Rampage has, you have to front load it a lot more, because like probably the first 20 minutes is where you'll get like the maximum number of viewers, and then it slowly evaporates into like second match or the main event. So like it keeps continuously decreasing, and it's not much of a surprise given the ratings that they have. But most of those shows that they're doing are taped, so you could understand that, and at the same time the time slot doesn't do them any favors. And even by that sense, I feel it's pretty decent numbers that they pull out. But again, let's argue for the sake of arguing, right? Like Rampage is losing viewers soon. AEW will run out of business because of their secondary show that it's just built to further storylines than actual this thing. And what may have you.
yeah, they will get there. Maybe you change time slots or go to another night.
I'd say changing time slots would be better, but again, what do I know about wrestling, right?
Yeah, at least we are not Tony Khan.
Yes,
But let's get into the main show. So great follow up to the match we saw earlier. We had CM Punk versus Matt Sydal. I thought this was yet another good showing for Punk. Matt Sydal is like always super underrated on that roster. Really good match. What you think about it?
yeah, this match was great. Like Punk's return, all of CM Punk's matches have been like very, very good. I'll just keep it to that because like I felt last week's match with Daniel Garcia was probably one of the best that he did since returning. Because obviously the first one is the Derby match, and I'd rank this second, and then the match with Hobbs, and probably this one after. And it's not a knock, but it was great. This match was great by all accounts as well because they were running more on psychology because Punk was trying because Matt Sydal was trying to outrun Punk, and Punk he got gassed at one point, and Sydal was like trying to put him in locks and maneuvers, and Punk was going more on the power side. So that was also that was also good to see. Also highlights the versatility of Punk as a wrestler because he can go for strikes, he can go for holds, and he can also be a power guy when required because given the size disparity of both of these guys. But Sydal was like quick on reversals, so that was his plan for the most part, and of course like tiring Punk and then taking advantage of it. But Punk also being a master of wrestling, and Sydal is also he's like a teacher himself. So all in all, like this was a great. If you want to study wrestling, like if you want to learn how to wrestle and you want to learn the basic psychologies, etc., you could use this match to like learn the basic fundamentals of that. You know what I mean?
That's why he watches Bret Hart tapes, not Shawn Michaels matches.
Who Punk?
Yeah, he likes Shawn Michaels, but
Yes,
Bret Hart is the man.
Bret Hart is like you could say that for most of the AEW wrestlers, like they are huge Bret Hart fans, especially FTR, the vocal Bret Hart supporters.
Yeah, and they hate Shawn Michaels for some reason.
You gotta hate the enemy always.
Yeah. Anyway, Shawn is good. Shawn is good, by the way. And there is
Yeah, I like Shawn.
another thing I want to bring up is why is this crowd full of Spaniards?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I don't know the reason too, but they were chanting most even like the match with Bryan and Suzuki, they were chanting C instead of yes. And over here, when Punk hit a random body slam out of nowhere just to escape Sydal's hold, and they're just chanting otra vez, and they're like chant again, and Punk was like, and then he hits him again on the apron, and he's like, "That's a body slam," and this gives a thumbs up. So Punk is like amazing with the crowd. He's just enjoying.
and by the way, Punk is really putting over those body slams.
Yeah, and even the commentary, they were having fun with it. Like body slams are like the most underrated move in all of wrestling, and they are right. It is. It's
And
hard to mention its importance, but again, like if you're slamming your opponent down to the ground, so it takes a lot out of them more than it takes out of you, the offensive person.
and there was yet another spot I haven't seen this in years. Where they were both men fight on the ropes. Like Punk was teasing a superplex, but it ends up, both men being knocked out and falling on the floor. I haven't seen that in years. Maybe the last 5 years.
That's a stretch because I think I'd seen that a lot during Seth Rollins matches.
Yeah, but now that it's a little modernized, even that feels a very old school move.
Right.
So at the end, there was some situation where Sydal was going for a cradle. No, no, no. First off, he was going for the shooting star. He misses that. Then was going for a cradle bomb or a crucifix bomb on Punk, but Punk turns into a simple GTS. The crowd was chanting for it throughout the match. He finally hits it, gets the win. Really good match, really good stuff. And the story with this match was regarding Leo Rush, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, because he's trying to recruit Sydal and Dante for his investment scheme. And like for Dante, he got a match with Malachi Black tomorrow night, or tonight, I should say, on Dynamite. But for Sydal, this was his shot. And there was no mention of Leo Rush during the match. And even after the match, they didn't further that angle. Probably they'll use tomorrow's Dynamite to do that because even Dante, let's just say Dante is getting murdered by Malachi tomorrow or tonight.
Yeah, but yeah, and in that logic, I think we are getting Punk versus Dante Martin.
I would love that. Like Punk, imagine being Dante Martin in this scene, like for a month or a couple months, like you're going, or 3 months, because you're going from wrestling like dark elevation matches, which he's still doing at the moment, to facing Kenny Omega, facing CM Punk, now facing Malachi Black, and all the bigger stars in AEW, Cody Rhodes as well. So he's having the time of his life right now. Both of these guys.
And the presentation of CM Punk, where he's putting over the young talents, really great stuff.
Yeah, and there's like more is yet to come from him in this role of his, like wrestling every young talent. And he specifically mentioned that in his first promo when he returned, like I'm ready and I'm hungry to work with all that young talent who had the same hunger as me back, but which got stomped out of my life by WWE.
Mm, let's wait and see, man. Let's wait and see who's next on his radar. But shall we talk about this Dark Order promo? So what happened was, like, they're happy that their old friend, you could say, his old friend Hangman Page is back and is getting the title shot at the pay-per-view. Now that's official. And they also kind of called out the Super Click, this being John Silver. So he threw a little challenge with Dark Order facing the Super Click, and I don't know when it's happening.
I didn't get to see that promo, to be honest. Like I was watching it on Fight. They might have aired it like after the commercial break, or this did this air during? I'm not sure because I didn't get to see it on Fight.
Yeah, this was following Cider and Punk.
No way, they didn't show it, which is very strange. Even though like Fight shows literally everything during the episode.
But Anyways, we had this promo, so building towards this 6-man match. I don't know when it's happening. I might have lost when they were announcing the cards for Rampage and Dynamite. They may be doing it this week only or next week. I don't know.
They announced the card for both shows, but this match wasn't there.
Yeah, but looking at things,
Probably the next Dynamite, the next week's Dynamite, probably then.
yeah. So that should be a good trios match. I love the Super Click. I love the Dark Order. Guys with John Silver involved, he's great at those type of matches. So should be fun.
Best hot tag in the business currently.
Yeah.
That's a far reach.
But let's get through this. Ruby Soho versus Bunny. So they had a little match, and it was just there in this great card, to be honest.
Yes, I mean one of the main highlight for this match. I mean, no disrespect to both Soho and Bunny. The main highlight was the commentary because these guys were just having fun. Taz, Ricky Starks, and Excalibur. So, like while Ruby was entering, like Taz was singing her theme song, like waving the Soho part,
It's kind
and
of fully butchering it.
yeah, and you remember when Jungle Boy debuted his theme at Dark Elevation, and Taz was just the first person to go, oh, and
Yeah,
he wasn't even doing it properly.
yeah,
So Taz is a bad singer, I guess, but
yeah. But he's a really
that's
good commentator, though. And Ricky
yeah,
Starks.
easily. Oh, Ricky Starks is amazing, man. This guy put all the belts on him. I don't care. This guy is amazing. Like
Uh,
last week, like Ricky Starks, verbally, even from his promo to his Twitter game, he was absolutely manhandled Brian Cage on Twitter. And after even during the match, like they had a Philly Street fight, even then, like he got the better of him result wise, and also like even in terms of presence. So great stuff.
so back to this match. Um, I think they worked a decentish. So it turned out Soho got a cradle win, and that was it. Ruby Soho wins the match and was celebrating on the entranceway, but she got attacked by the Bunny's new friend Penelope Ford. And
Penelope.
what you say?
Penelope.
Why do you call her Penelope?
Because Booker T calls her like whenever he reviews AEW matches and whenever he's talking about Penelope Ford's matches, like and this match like this guy Penelope, and just like he just says it like that.
You watch his
So it's
podcast.
it's a me. No, I don't watch his podcast, but it keeps trending after whatever the amount of shit he says.
Man, you really need to refresh your YouTube feed sometimes.
Yeah, I mean I've seen some parts. You remember when Black Snow got viral?
Ah, that's a classic, bro.
Oh man, like they were reviewing it on one of their episodes because, like, we had that Booker T on commentary Twitter account, and he was just talking about that. And again, like, then he was just talking in his Black Snow voice. So that's when I was like checking out. But most of the times, it's just he just keeps trending for his controversial talks whenever something bad is happening in WWE and he supports that, or like when something happened related to CM Punk when he debuted. So like he just keeps throwing these controversial barbs, which at the end mean nothing, but it's all fun for the memes, like the Penelope stuff.
So Penelope helped Bunny to take out Soho with the brace knucks, and that's how the whole segment ended. We could be expecting a Penelope and Ruby Soho match
Did
in
they
the coming
announce it
weeks.
next?
I think they
No, they
announced
did
it.
not. No, they did not. So, coming back to this match, I mean, I want to talk a little because this, for what it was basically Bunny was on offense for the most part, and they're trying to build Soho for the TNT, the TBS
TBS.
championship matches, the TBS championship matches, tournament, I should say, and like for the amount of bumps that Soho took, boy, those were. like very sloppy and very nasty, because at the start, when the bunny takes advantage of Soho, she like just chucks her from the turnbuckle while she was standing, and then she lands like neck first onto the turnbuckle, and then she falls down. And then after that, this German suplex from the turnbuckle, and like the amount they were she was just working on her neck, and she was working on her neck. And I think Bunny as a wrestler, it's easy to like just say like she's there, but when her matches are good, you could see like she's been wrestling for 15 years for the right reason. Sometimes, I mean, most of them, she's been put into a position that, with her bunny character is not something very appealing with the whole Hardy family office stuff. But if you want to watch her, like, matches as Ali back in Impact, or matches as like, as doing her own stuff, she's pretty good. Like, credit where it's due in her case.
Anyways, before we get
Yeah.
into the main event, what is your favorite sneaker, by the way?
I'm not a huge guy on sneakers, to be honest. Like, I'm more of someone who wears loafers or this thing. But you want to talk about the brand? You mean favorite shoe brand?
Yeah. What is your footwear like? Oh, sorry, foot game like?
I mean, mostly trainers. Like, most of my shoe collection is Adidas, and those are like something that I'd use to run or if I'm going out. But yeah, it's mostly like, it's not very sneaker like, but it's like few shoes that I have. Like, there's one I have of Adidas, which is my favorite. But yeah, mostly Adidas, I'd say.
Yeah. You are kind of like me. You don't like to spend top dollars on your foot game.
I like, when you asked me that question, I knew where it was going. So
Yeah. But
it was just unnecessary.
side note though, I do like watching BT for Young Bucks and Kenny Omega's what they wear on that particular week.
Yes. This week is definitely something about this. Like, they will definitely crack a joke where they're in a sneaker shop and they're just like, oh, I'm gonna spend top dollar on that. It's coming, that, right?
Yeah.
Like, they are going to crack something or the other in this,
Yeah.
especially.
Let Top Dollar get some credibility now that he's on SmackDown. Let's hope for the best
Yes.
for him and his whole crew.
Yes, and someone even mentioned that Young Bucks put him over in one tweet than NXT ever did in how
Ooh.
many months that he's been here, which is very true. And of course, like, I don't like religiously watch NXT, like some bits and pieces, but that was true.
You don't watch NXT?
I mean, not very much. I just check out the parts that interest me. Case with many in WWE shows.
Bro, you should watch that show for Parker Bodox or whatever he's called now.
I could care less about that person, to be honest with you.
He doesn't
Like,
even
people
exist
call
now.
it, yeah, it's some Haaland, and
Yep.
it's very wrongly timed name when there is an actual footballer of the same name. They like
They,
both, like, they gave him the name Gunnar Haaland, and both have like football connotations, and he looks like neither of those parts, because Gunnar is nickname for Arsenal, and Haaland, there's a footballer named Erling Haaland, and when he had hair on top of his head, he used to look a bit like him. And Erling Haaland, the footballer, also looks like Brock Lesnar. And he is called Brock Lesnar in a more meme sense, but
yeah.
he looks like neither of those. And I don't get the hype of him, to
Yeah,
be completely honest with
he went from looking like Brock Lesnar to Sanjay Dutt from Agnipath.
you. Or Gene Snitsky.
Anyways, let's get into this big 6-man / trios match. So this was
You want
the
me to? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Do you want me to run down the card for next week?
absolutely because I missed the whole bit.
Yes. Okay. I'm completely sorry for interrupting you there.
Anyways,
So for tonight on Dynamite, we have Dante versus Malachi Black. So there's going to be a murder on that case. There's Lucha Bros versus question mark. It's a mass tag team, which is known only close to Andrade, which is given the way that they've been teasing it online. It's Dragon Lee or Dralistico, but you never know. Someone like Laredo Kid might show up, and because both Dragon Lee and Dralistico have obligations with Ring of Honor, so it's likely going to be them. But I feel they might take another route on that, and they'll announce the bracket for the World Championship tournament for Full Gear, which is strange because Tony Khan also announced on social media that Kenny and Hangman are going to face for the championship.
that's
So
clear.
this is a bit strange. Oh no, wait. The finals going to take place at Full Gear.
Right.
That's what happened last year with Kenny and Hangman,
Absolutely correct.
and now they're facing for the championship. So it's like, yeah, so it's fine with me. And John Moxley is going to face Wheeler Utah, and I don't have a good feeling about this. This is probably leading into a John Moxley heel turn for me, probably
Yeah,
because he's been acting heelish all these weeks, and this is like a good babyface for him to murder. And this is also going to there are two murders that are going to take place tonight. Let's just say that. And Kiera Hogan versus Penelope Ford is happening, and Bryan versus Bobby Fish. And next week on Rampage, they're going to announce the bracket for the TBS Championship tournament. So I think that final is also taking place at Full Gear. And there are going to be some matches from the World Heavyweight Championship tournament, and also Park versus Andrade too. So I'm just curious, why is this match happening? But when these two guys wrestle, it's amazing. That happened the first time; it's going to happen again.
with Park versus Andrade 2 is happening where?
Rampage next week.
Oh, okay. Should be good, I guess.
Yeah. So let's continue with the main event.
So, like I said, it was the inner circle. So it was Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara, the TNT champion, and Jake Hager. So they were facing Men of the Year, that is Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, and Junior Dos Santos, the former UFC champion. This is his first pro. So this is his official pro wrestling debut. Like they said in the package and stuff. I thought that package they did for this match was really good. It was very informative, I guess.
This was the same that they aired for Road
2. Yes.
Yes.
This trios match was, I could say, it was chaotic. It was fun, and like the crowd really, brought this match to a level. And Junior Dos Santos, he was fine, I guess. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I thought he looked great because he was used very sparingly, but he was used to his advantage because he was leaning more into those strikes on Lee Jericho, and then Hager was showing him what pro wrestling looks like when he was just body slamming him. And besides that, he was used more for his striking game, and then he was just tagged out. So I thought he was used fairly well.
Yeah, but I thought overall it was a good enough match.
Yeah, it was fun, like as any trios match is in general, because that's how it's more a fan service. Let's just call it that. But yeah, it was great.
And like they started off with Sammy and Scorpio Sky, really good wrestling there. Sammy looks like an absolute star. And then Junior Dos Santos came in, and we saw between him and Jericho. He was really, hammering into Jericho. So this led to, Jake Hager coming in, and like you said, kind of, introducing him to the business and all. So they had little
Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
Yeah, they had little exchanges and all. So as we went through the commercial break, like what happened was Chris Jericho was kind of being distracted by Jorge Masvidal, who was in the corner of the heel team there. So from there, the heel team were targeting Jericho throughout the commercial break, and Jericho was able to make a escape and make a hot tag to Sammy, and Sammy went full insane. The crowd just stood up for this guy, like that's
The crowd was chanting for him while he was tagged out. It's like, we want Sammy, and they stopped after a while. But when his hot tag came in, the crowd came unglued. Even
oh.
Ricky Starks mentioned, like, this roof is falling off this place, because that's how over Sammy Guevara is, which is
So
amazing.
that's what happened during the commercial break because you saw on Fight, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So like the way he did that super cutter from the springboard cutter was insane. The crowd just stood up for that one, and he hit a kind of a shooting star. And we also saw Jericho coming in. He hit a great looking lion sword. Crowd is very much into this. This is the peak of this match, you could say. So something happened. We were talking about, before we started this recording. Sammy kind of hit a big move. I think the camera missed it because during the same time, Dos Santos and Hager were fighting near ringside, and I think Hager slammed Dos Santos through the table. Something happened with Sammy, I guess. Like you were pointing to what happened.
Yes. I don't know what happened exactly, because what happened, like Sammy, like, these guys were going ape shit on one another. So Jericho and Sky were in the ring, and Ethan Page was trying to, help Sky, and Sammy just crashes with him through the ring ropes and falling down on the ground. And there was something that happened, like, yeah, Junior, as you mentioned, Junior Dos Santos and Jake Hager were just beating up, and he was just slamming Hager on the apron. Junior Dos Santos was slamming Hager on the apron. And there was something that happened. I'm not sure what it was. I mean, whoever is listening to this podcast, you can mention it in the comments below, because even we want to know. So, and there was like Dan Lambert just went like this, and even Masvidal just went like this, and the crowd was chanting "Holy shit!" I'm like, you won't be chanting "Holy shit" for just Hager getting slammed on the apron. So something bad must have happened to Sammy, because even after the match he was limping. So there could be something that we might have missed out on, or we have missed out on, that no one knows what happened exactly.
Yeah, overall, they really missed the Sammy spot. I think it was done on purpose.
Probably, but I mean, I hope there's nothing bad that happened.
Hope is okay. That's all we want to know. But
Yes.
as we continue throughout the match, so what happened was as we get to the final part, Jericho had Scorpio Sky in the walls of Jericho. Scorpio Sky was on the verge of tapping out, but here comes Jorge Masvidal because there was some, yeah, I think he came out and he hit Jericho with a knee. So
Yes,
Jericho
it
is
was
knocked out.
Paige Van Zandt. It was Paige Van Zandt who distracted the referee,
Yeah.
and Jorge Masvidal just hits the knee strike on Jericho.
And that's how Scorpio Sky was able to pin Jericho. So Man of the Year and Dos Santos got the win. That's pretty much it. They are trying to build up feuds from what happened here, and one is the Jorge Masvidal and Jericho thing.
Yes, and given the star power of Jorge Masvidal, they are sowing the seeds for an eventual turn into pro wrestling for Masvidal, because even in UFC he's not fighting for the big championships, or he could do, like, bit of both. But he's clearly a star that's waiting to be used in a UFC, and like, even in AEW now. So there is a good chance that he'll change careers. Even Paige Van Zandt, because her, with all due respect, her fighting career isn't faring any better. So with Masvidal, they are clearly building up something. And if you had seen the Road to episode, they've mentioned his accolades, which isn't much as a UFC champion, but he won their version of the FTW championship, which is the BMF championship. So he was a champion of that, just to prove how tough he is. And there you go. Like, that was just it, and just that he's a bad MFR. So they are going to AEW's clearly got a star on their hands, and
You
they'll
really think so?
definitely make the bit. Yes, he has the mainstream appeal. He's someone, who's proven in UFC that you can be a star by yourself, irrespective of where you rank in the championship scene. So I feel that they're going to use him a lot more probably later on, because even in UFC, like I mentioned, he's not challenging for the big championship. Besides the BMF champion that he was, there's nothing much that he's done. He's like a
Uh,
mid carder in UFC, to put
um,
it bluntly.
I'm fallen off UFC after Connor, I guess.
Yeah, most of UFC's popularity, and I don't mean this as a knock, because UFC, like as in general, is running strong at the moment. After the pandemic and before that, the Conor and Khabib stuff that happened, with just Conor going ape shit on Khabib after the match. So that was like clearly a pro wrestling angle built. So after that, I think the popularity has fallen off a bit, but it's still going pretty strong, I'd say.
Is Ore on that Khabib Connor level?
He's not. They have like a different form of star power. Like I mentioned, Masvidal is a mid carder at best, but he's someone who's waiting to be used at the top in pro wrestling terminology.
Maybe he is the Seth Rollins of MMA.
Probably you could say that, because he has that drip gimmick as well going on. So
Oh, okay. So that
that's
makes
that's
sense.
that's a very apt that's a very apt comparison.
But anyways, man, overall thoughts on this feud, you could be seeing as we get to the pay-per-view.
Oh, but for this feud, I thought that the hype died a little for this, because these guys are doing the best with what they have. Uh, Sometimes when Dan Lambert cuts a good promo, it goes over the top. But again, like when he cuts the same promo, it's just there, like meddling. And I wasn't really, but I wasn't particularly interested heading into this match. But this match was great, so that really built up all the interest back. And you forgot to mention the Proud and Powerful came out to
Hmm.
help out the
Yeah,
inner circle.
yeah. You know
So
why? You know why? Because it took that long for Prod and Purple to even make the save.
yeah, they should have, like, that was so weird. And like Hager is out, all of these guys are pounding on Jericho, so these guys are like beating the shit out of him. All guys like Vanderford, Paige Van Zandt's husband. The That's an app way of
Hmm.
describing him. There's Junior Dos Santos, and there was another person, I forgot his name. And everyone's beating him up. And then Proud and Powerful show up, and these guys evade. So, and if you've checked out the possible leaked card of Full Gear, so this is a match that might happen, like likely to be a tag match, a 5-on-5 tag match between the Inner Circle and the American Top League.
So it's a 5-on-5.
Likely to be, and given the direction that they've taken after the segment, it's likely to be in that sense.
Let's do a 5-on-5 Lions Den match.
Like, no, it's too small of a space for them to do.
Yeah, Tony Khan has the budget. Listen, Tony Khan has the budget. He can build a giant MMA ring.
Yes, like probably the same way like he built for Hager and Wardlow. It was an actual pro wrestling ring, just with a normal steel cage, and they just put an extra corner just to show that octagon. So probably that.
Hey, now that you have mentioned the league card, should we talk about it?
Sure, go on. Let's
Like,
just do
I
that.
I don't know what happened, but apparently Tony Khan was in some game, one of the NFL games. Correct me.
Jaguars, yes.
And
Yeah,
he was holding some piece of paper, and apparently it was the card for, yeah, like that exactly, and it
like that.
was.
He was just posing like this, and you could clearly see the the full gear card that he's written, and he has a pretty good handwriting, you could say,
Yeah.
to point it out. But I mean, people who the eagle-eyed people on Reddit or on social media, man, hats off to you guys.
Apparently that it had a 11 match card for full gear. And I don't
Yep.
know, I don't know what matches he had written down. Do you have any idea?
Um. Okay, so I'll try to point it out from what I remember.
Okay, go on.
So the one match is officially announced. That's Kenny versus Hangman for the championship. That's something Tony Khan confirmed. The other matches were Bryan Danielson versus John Moxley. So I'm not sure how will they get to that.
That will be
Uh,
apparently it would be the finals of this tournament.
Probably
That would make
that's
more
a good.
sense.
Exactly, that would. There was Christian Cage versus Adam Cole.
Or was it Jungle Boy?
Uh, no, Christian Cage versus Adam Cole.
Okay.
Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express was one match, which is strange because they wrestled like on the go home show for All Out, or I think the week before that. So it was strange that this match is happening again.
So if we are having Young Bucks in this big marquee match, what do the Lucha Bros do? Do they have a match
Yeah, there
or
was a there was a question mark on that. So the for Lucha Bros versus question mark. They don't. We even they Tony doesn't know who to pick
three-way
for
tag?
to face them. Hmm?
Just to get the just to get the Young Bucks involved, I think they do a three-way tag.
Yeah, I was also thinking of the same, but probably someone else might, climb up the rankings by then. But I hope no. Yeah. Then there was Inner Circle versus American Top Team. I was thinking of Proud and Powerful at first, but
Wait.
then I realized,
Wait,
yeah.
I think it's going to be FTR and Lucha Bros. Of what I read on this
Oh,
report.
yes. Please, wrestling gods. Please, Tony Khan. Yes,
Yeah,
because I love FTR. This match is going to rule on all corners. And given the approach that FTR has taken in recent weeks, if you're watching Dark and Elevation, they've been squashing everyone, like whoever they face on Dark or Elevation. And even when the Dax Howard cut that promo, he's like, nah, the wheelchairs or crutches are for the week, and we are refocusing on getting that tag titles. I hope it's FTR. Shit, that's going to be amazing.
that's the case.
And
Then I don't want to see Young Bucks and Lucha Bros on the paper. Sorry, Young
yeah,
Bucks
I
and
mean,
Jurassic Express.
yes, probably, yeah. I wouldn't want that either. And
We are a
wait,
TBS championship match.
yeah, TBS, they didn't announce it was, I mean, of course, like now we got to know that there's a tournament that they'll do in the finals leading into it. But there was a match announced for the card that had some that might have some implications to it. That was Thunder Rosa versus Jade Cargill. So it's probably the finals of the TBS tournament. And then the next match that was just one, yeah, Cody Rhodes versus question mark. So there were three options for it. One I don't remember right now. Uh, yeah. So Cody Rhodes had like three options. One was Malachi Black, obviously. The other was Miro, and the third was Andrade El Idolo. So Cody Rhodes versus three options. I hope it's Miro because I want to see some promos between Miro and Arn Anderson. So like
Oh my.
who's the bigger badass of the two?
Yeah, the game over versus the Arn Glock.
Yeah, the Glock versus the Tank.
See who knows? He may come out in a time.
Oh yeah, with CJ standing next to him.
Yeah,
It's like
that
it's
would
going to rule.
that would be a fun match.
Yes,
So
and I think there was I might have covered the entire card, but
yeah, at this point the other stuff are just TBA.
yes, and Britt Baker versus question mark because they like it's not announced that who will face her for the championship at the card.
Yeah, so that's the leaked card for Full Gear. Sounds good.
But was Tony like? Does he have any self awareness while he was holding the card that way? Or
This,
did he just do it on purpose? Like what the fuck was that?
Yeah, this was done on purpose, saying Tony's history. He knows how to,
Big Dick Tony Khan.
yeah, he knows how to, get some buzz, and he uses through the dirt sheets and all. He's very great at that. So
Yes,
overall,
he's been a constant presence on Wrestling Observer, like these live chats back in 90s, and like given the amount of stuff that he's been saying about WWE, which is obviously taken in the wrong context by the dirt sheet writers, and it feels like he's on a coke binge, but something he knows that he's on a coke binge and doing these things.
but give us a decent enough card. They will do, but maybe just don't fill it up. Don't give us
Yeah,
a WrestleMania 35 like card with 100 matches on the show.
yeah, it's probably good that they space it out for the shows leading up to it, or the one after the fallout from Full Gear.
Yeah, let it be like All Out. I think All Out was handled very well with the matches and stuff. So do something like that.
Yep.
But anyways, man, that was the review for Rampage. Anything else you wanted to add before we get the hell out?
Nah, I don't think so.
But where can these guys find you?
So you can find me on Twitter, on Instagram at rid_aman, and if you're watching this in video form, probably in any of these corners, because I don't keep track anymore. Where is it? I think it's on the right. But yeah.
And you can find Slamhub Wrestling on Twitter at SlamHubW, Instagram at SlamHub Wrestling. You can catch this review in audio platforms on Spotify, on Anchor as well. This was the Rampage review, and we'll see you guys next time.
Ciao.